All right, let's get a modcast going on this Tuesday. Texas getting ready for Vanderbilt. Our guy Alex Dunlap is being a dad today. Alex, you enjoyed the time with your kids. And I got Anwar Richardson here with me. I got Jason Sukamel here with me. Maybe at some point we play the game of who just had a weirder traveling experience with America's Airlines. But first, we'll definitely talk Texas football as they get ready for this game. Let me give a shout out to Daily and Black. They are our sponsor every week on the modcast. If you need lawyers that are going to be on your side and look out for you, this is the place to check out. There's your QR code. Daily and Black. Remember to go DALY on the spelling of daily. All right, gentlemen, let's get into this. And to me, it's a timeline discussion this week because of Arch Manning being in the being in the concussion protocol. Anwar, let me start with you because I was really interested as you started your question to Sark about a timeline and how this might play out. Sark didn't really seem to want to get into the timeline discussion, but let me start with you and kind of how you were thinking as you were framing that question, because I did think it might be the most important thing of the week.
Well, I just think that you have to determine, okay, well, how many days of practice can Arch miss and you feel comfortable putting him in on a Saturday? Does he have to, and Tuesday is a heavy practice day. That's a heavy load day. So is it, what do you need to see him by Wednesday? Do you need to see him by Thursday? Do you feel like he's at a point that if he's just healthy, you can make him a game time decision, right? That's the thing I wanted to establish with Sark was, what is it? Was it for you? Sark was so intent on shutting down the question. He basically was like, well, it's up to the doctors. But ultimately, there's a deadline. But when you would be clearing him in your own mind to say he didn't practice. So I think that's what I wanted to try to establish. I don't think we were able to really establish that. The question was asked. And I don't know for Sark. I don't know how many days of practice. He might just say, hey, I feel like I know what I got with Arch. If he just shows up, he's good to go. Or maybe say like Matthew Caldwell's got has got the rapport with these receivers. I just need to go with him. Like that's the thing. Well, I guess ultimately we'll see what the injury reports look like.
Yeah, maybe that's what we have to go off of. Because Jason, I was interested in that response because there's that moment we can all envision of the doctor saying, hey, Sark, he's good. But then the question is, when does Sark need to hear that? What does your gut tell you? I mean, Arch has obviously been the quarterback for a while in one regard, but he is still not the most experienced quarterback in the world. So what's your gut on this?
Yeah, kind of like Anwar, it's a little not confusing, but hard to read because this is kind of new territory. But like if they say at 7 a.m. on Saturday, he's clear. Do you play him? I mean, because he can go through, whiteboard and all this stuff and install. He can't practice per se, but he can kind of do some of that stuff. So he'll be aware of the game plan. He'll know the game plan. He'll obviously know the plays. But traditionally, like in the NFL, I know usually they want guys to practice by Friday at the latest. So they'll play on Sunday, I believe. Maybe it's even Thursday. I don't remember. I'm trying to think when all these injury reports. So usually you want a couple days of a guy being out there beyond a limited role to practice. I actually Googled it knowing we were going to talk on this about return to play protocol on concussion protocol for college football. And it does say, hey, each school can manage it on its own. But, it says the player must follow a gradual and progressive, thank you, AI, by the way, gradual and progressive return to play protocol, which typically involves several stages: light aerobic activity, non-contact drills, contact drills, full participation in practice and games. Each stage requires medical clearance. I mean, that almost sounds like a few days to me, right? Light aerobic activity, and then you get into contact drills. So I don't know. I mean, like if we don't see by Thursday's or injury report that Arch is, questionable or probable, then I don't think we'll see him. And then, but like Anwar said, maybe Sark looks at us and says, hey, I've got a comfort level with Matthew Caldwell. I feel really good about Matthew Caldwell running this team. So maybe they don't force the issue quite as much. But I don't know the answer. But yeah, Anwar, I knew where you were going with that question when I was watching it. It's like, no, you just want to ask okay, does he have to get like a practice or two in, right? Or could you just make up Saturday? And Sark, of course, was like, He's in the protocol. What else do you need to know? Yeah, but I don't know the answer. I don't know how Sark would handle that. Some of that probably depends on how Caldwell looks in practice and how comfortable they feel there. But I honestly, I don't know the answer, Chad. It'll be interesting to follow this week.
Yeah. Wes, I see your super chat. We'll get to it. Anwar, the other thing that went through my mind as you were asking your question is, oh, wow, this is one Sark can't hide from because he's really good at hiding from the injury stuff. Throwing the ball to Xavier Worthy all that time with a broken hand, whatever Quinn Ewers was dealing with, he loves to stay away from it. He loves to not talk about it. And I think it hit him as you were starting your question. Oh my God, wait a minute. I got doctors and concussion protocol. And you really do have to be out front, to Jason's point here. So I keep wondering, can it go from don't tell us anything to Arch goes in and set Hut? Can that happen? Or does it need to be gradual in terms of, hey, he's been cleared for this. He's been cleared for this. Now he's cleared for this. I wonder how the SEC wants to, how does the SEC want this to play out?
Well, the thing is, so the only thing that was interesting about what Jason said that's a little bit different is that he said contact. Well, quarterback's never going to have contact during practice, right?
That's
so,
true.
Yeah. So he doesn't need contact, right? So there just needs to be going through the gradual progressions. And again, to what degree he's in right now, like we don't know, like or lights bothering him. Can he be okay with lights, right? Is he vomiting at home, or is it just, a little dazed and confused, a little slurred speech here and there, like all those little things. And, that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like by Thursday, like if he doesn't practice on Wednesday, he doesn't practice on Thursday. Well, then the most you can probably jump to would be a limited participant on Friday. That would probably be the most. But I think if he misses Wednesday or Thursday, then it would be odd for a guy who's got a concussion to be back 2 days later, right? I feel like if he's limited on Wednesday, and for me, he has to be some sort of limited participant by Thursday. I just think logically, because if he misses Wednesday and Thursday, I just don't see like, okay, now there's this huge jump that makes you not practice on Thursday, but you can play on a Saturday, right? Like to Jason's point, there has to be a progression, and I think you have to start slowly seeing that progression, and which means he probably needs to be at least limited for 2 days.
I'm looking real quick at the NCAA's return to sport protocol. Starts out with light aerobic exercise, sport-specific exercise, non-contact practice. It does say full contact practice. Like you said, Almar, he's a quarterback. He's not going to get hit. But that would mean he'd have to practice on Friday. He'd have to at least go through a regular practice. And then you go to unrestricted return to play. Athletes must demonstrate symptom resolution at each stage, progressing at least 24 hours per step. So he would have to start non-contact practice on Thursday, a full contact with the understanding quarterbacks don't get hit on Friday to be able to play Saturday. So we're on,
because this is different than the example that always pops in my head, guys, from growing up was Steve McNair. But Steve McNair's was always purely physical. It was always like, well, he's got a cracked sternum or he's got 3 cracked ribs. He hasn't practiced at all this week. It's like, yeah, but he's Steve McNair. He's going to give it a go, and he would, and he'd get hit in the game, and he just showed how tough a guy he was. But that's not what we're talking about here with all these protocols and that it is as sensitive a thing as a concussion. I agree with you guys. I think there has to be a progression of things. And if Sark, this is really anti what Sark normally does. If he really wants him to play, if he believes that he can play, he's got to let everybody know along the way to the SEC's satisfaction, whatever that means, and the NCAA satisfaction. It can't just go from where we are now to sending him out there for the first drive, right? Like it can't happen that way.
No, but I think different schools probably handle it differently. I don't know who does the protocol at Texas or any other school for that matter, but we've seen cases where guys like, all right, that dude shouldn't be playing, and they trot him back out there before he's ready, right? So, I don't think Texas will do that. I don't think Texas will do that with Arch, but like, I think some of these rules are a little bit flexible from different school to different schools.
Well, and the thing is, though, I mean, you have something like that. I mean, we're for, hell. I mean, under the lights is one thing, but you're talking about an 11 o'clock game as well. I mean, like you're talking about a bright ass sun, shining in your face. And you're also talking that, look, if it was a night game, at least you could say, hey, we've got some time for him to wake up on Saturday and see how he feels. For something like this,
good point.
I mean, the game starts at 11. I mean, you got to be out there on at the stadium by 9, on the field from warm-ups, not long after that. So
Art shows up with a dark visor on wearing his helmet. We're like, that looks a little suspicious.
Yeah. I mean, even for him to do the walk from the bus into the stadium, unless it's going to be dark, unless they're going to do that.
Sunglasses on, like a big umbrella over his head.
Exactly. Even little things like that, you got to monitor, as far as that goes. So I think it's tough, concussion, aka brain injuries are not brain injuries are not the things to mess around, not to be played with. And look, doctors could clear him, but what if he gets hit again on Saturday and is back down on the ground, people are going to think it's coaching malpractice as well, for that to happen. So, I think there's also got to be there's a benefit to say, don't play this week. Let's get by the best way we can, recover during the bye week, and then be ready to go for Georgia as we go to those last 3 games. Like, there's something to be said for that. But I also understand the sense of urgency, because if you lose against Vanderbilt, there's probably not a lot to play for after that either.
Yeah, it is a wild little catch-22 there. I see the 2 super chats. We will get to those after we hear from one of our great partners, and they are AV Consultations. Check out everything they can do for you.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations, and we'd like to take a moment to thank all of our clients for making the last 37 years both fun and fruitful. If you haven't yet, I'd like to invite you to give us a try for all your home electronics needs. There's no need to leave your home to find great pricing and incomparable service. No traffic, inexperienced sales geeks, or pushy showroom tactics. We come to you. So just relax, hug your kids, and smile. We handle all the work. Just give us a call at 255-8678 or online at avconsultations.com.
All right, we'll go bigger money first here with Wes. $10 came in. What's up, Wes? If Arch can't go, Texas needs to figure out a way to run the ball. I'm not sure Matthew Caldwell / KJ Lacey would survive behind this offensive line the way Arch has up to this point. Wes, I would say they need to figure out a way to run the ball, no matter who the quarterback plays
or not. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem, Wes. Is like, your point is valid. The issue is if they haven't figured out a way to run the ball, regardless of who the quarterback is. That's the issue.
Yeah, and what Wes is also thinking of, guys, is that we know there have been some runs with Arch that have been, it wasn't really so much at the Mississippi State game, but there have been some successful runs with Arch, and he's realizing that's going to be taken out. So certainly in all situations.
Caldwell, to be fair, he had that run, was against Sam Houston or something like that, or I forget which team he had, but he did show a little bit of mobility. It wasn't like a statue. Like he had a long run in one of those 3 preseason games. I don't know if it was UTEP, San Jose State, or Sam Houston. So he's not a statue.
Yeah, and by the way, and thank you, Wes, for the super chat. I've got kind of good news and bad news for Texas fans. The bad news is one of the reasons I'm leaning towards Vanderbilt this week, it's the run game. It's not about who the quarterback is. With a perfectly healthy Arch Manning, I think I might still pick Vanderbilt, because I can't believe Texas couldn't run against Mississippi State. I cannot believe it. 2.3 against that team is staggering to me. Now, here's the good news, Texas fans. The last time I talked about not being able to trust this Texas team, they beat OU. So I'm going to stay with that feeling, and we'll see if it works again. But I'm leaning towards Vandy because of that lack of run game. Jordan.
Onward, real quick, to your point, called team by a sizable margin. He went for 50 against Sam Houston. The next longest is Wisner at 37. So he's got the longest carry of anybody.
Yeah, like dude was hauling ass. Like I don't keep talking about him being a statue.
Yeah.
Now people keep talking about him being a statue. I'm like, I saw him run. He didn't look slow.
And I don't think they're going to count on that necessarily. They're not going to call design runs, and he's not going to run as much as Arch. But hey, if the sea opens up, he can You can get enough yards to move the
I
chain.
mean, this offensive line is going to force your ass to run at some point.
One way or another, you're going to be running backwards, forwards. One way or another.
Are you going to stand back there and just get your head taken off? Or are you going to run for your damn life? Like, at some point, fight or flight. Like, his ass is going to have to run.
Here's the other thing, Anwar. I think you and everybody in that stadium that night got to see kind of a Bigfoot moment because I think the TV copy missed it. I think those of us that watched on TV, he took off down the sideline and we saw like a all 22 kind of shot of a replay maybe, but I don't think we actually got to see that play live. So it's a little bit of the legend of Matthew Caldwell there as he went down the sideline because I don't think we got to see that play live on TV.
I mean, I'm not saying he is Xavier worthy, but I mean he's definitely faster than Quinn. So there you go. But
come on, Anwar. We need a little more than that. He reminded you of Michael Vick. Just go ahead and say it. Just say
he is, and I'm expecting 5 touchdowns, 3 passing, 2 rushing, about 500 combined yards in a 24-point victory.
What I'm hearing, Almar, you're going to take the Matthew Caldwell Red Devil on Prize Picks to get a rushing touchdown. That's what I'm hearing, Almar.
And by the way, I gave up on Ryan Wingo on Prize Picks, and damn, I picked the wrong week to do that last week. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was what an amazing wild stat line for Wingo. Jordan throws in $4.99 on a super chat. Thank you, Jordan. If Matthew lights it up on Saturday and the offense looks better than it has all year, does Sark think about starting Matt versus Georgia?
I don't think so. Honestly, like that would be a good thing, Jordan, but in a weird kind of way, would that almost be like the worst thing that could happen for Sark and this quarterback room if Caldwell goes out there and just they move up and down the field against a good Vanderbilt team, by the way, good Vanderbilt defense? Because, I mean, you already have some fans who are like, oh, try Caldwell. Well, boy, those calls are going to get really loud if that scenario that Jordan laid out was to happen. So,
but it means they win, Jason, and the chance.
I know it's weird. It's kind of like obviously it's a good thing, but at the same time, it's like, that's going to open a can of worms that probably isn't going to go away for the rest of the season.
And for those, and Anwar for
hold on, Chad. But this, Jason, to that point, this would be the second time that happened because don't forget the Hudson Card Casey Thompson thing, where he went with one person who he was convinced was going to be the person that can do it. Arkansas happens. Mm-hmm. He benches him. And Casey Thompson, for the first few games, was like a man on fire. He gets a thumb injury, things slow down, but then it would be almost the second time that you would say to yourself, damn, like you went with this quarterback, but the other guy on the bench was a little bit better. Like you don't want that scenario.
Especially when the one on the bench wasn't named Arch Manning, right?
Yeah, that too. Now, the one thing it would allow is if obviously that means Texas would have won the game. You keep the momentum going. You are 7-2 going to Athens. You also, if you're Sark, you get to play the game of who am I going to play? And Kirby has to think about it. In theory, right? I mean, Kirby's a defensive-minded guy. He's going to prepare for everything, but,
But I think the thing is if Sark's MO was when Quinn got hurt, he was always going to come back and be the starting quarterback. That was when Malik Murphy was here, when Arch Manning was the backup, and there was 2 games that Quinn missed. It was Mississippi State and who was the other one? I forget the other one last year, but the 2 starts that he had. At the end of the day, I think Sark does the same thing. Like, that's cool. If you came in off the bench, that's great. But this is my starting quarterback, and I'm not going to have a quarterback controversy at all. Can't have a quarterback controversy with a Manning. Like, that would just be kind of ludicrous.
But man, what a story it would be. The old saying about the backup quarterback in Austin is the most popular guy. Jason's right. There has been a community of Texas fans saying, what about 18? Maybe give 18 a little try. That throw against Florida looked pretty good. What about the throw to Mo? Now it's got to happen, possibly because of the medical stuff. If he steps up and that offense plays well around him and the defense looks badass and they get a win, like what a great story that's going to be. By the end of the game, you go into a bye week, you get everybody healthy, including Arch Manning, and you're 7-2 going to Athens. Like, That would be that'd be just an incredible story.
It's your dream scenario. It's the dream scenario.
Yeah.
May not be the most realistic scenario, but it is the dream scenario when it's all said and done. I'm just not a person. The sample
super chat from ATX Bates, $5. Art shows up like Darth Vader wearing a dark visor and the turnover sword in hand. Vandy is cooked. Buy or sell, they should allow visors to be whatever color.
I didn't even know that was a thing. They limit on colors.
Sell. I don't think they should allow them to be any color you want. You can't have. I mean that you can't. Have one guy with a bright yellow visor and then the guy next to him is I don't know, purple and no. So
nah, that sounds like a bad idea.
that gets a little. I'm all for like personalization, but let's not do that.
You can make your contacts whatever color you want if you want to do that, but no.
Yeah. Okay. We got technical stuff going on. We are
just looking in the chat. People are saying we're frozen, and
well, let's look.
Hang on.
Let's get past this.
Someone said our internet is in the concussion protocol. Like my internet's good, dude. This is a restream problem.
We got bad internet. I'm seeing. Everything looks fine to me today. Everything has
multiple people are saying we're all frozen, but okay, we'll power through. Let's carry on.
Okay, all right. We'll just kind of roll through here today. All right, we hope. It says back now. Tex Blonde says we are back. By the way, I met Tex Blonde. She is real. She is absolutely a real person. I met her.
She's much taller in person than you would know. But yeah, she's a tall. What do you say? A tall cup of water.
Tall drink of water, yeah.
Tall drink of water, yeah. She's like 5'9" or something like that. She's really tall.
She's a fired up fan watching games too. She was not happy through that first half.
Did you go to the TCH thing?
She was over at TCH Social Austin with us. Yeah, it was really good to see her. Speaking of TCH Social Austin, that is where we'll be for a little Kegs and Eggs, 11 a.m. kickoff. The specials are there, including the $3 jellyfish, including the wing special. They do breakfast all day. If you want to try those biscuits and gravy, all of that is going on, and we will fire up Texas right in the middle on that big old screen. Also, Penn State, Ohio State will be on in the 11 a.m. window. So come on out and see us. Also, remember, if you want to play some online poker, TCH has that for you too. Hijackpoker.com. Put it on any device you want. Play online poker anywhere in the great state of
Texas. So Tex Blonde, she said she's 5'10". See, I was right. I'm always really close with those things. I said 5'9". She's 5'10". And that's the one thing I get the most from people when they meet me. Everyone always says, why did someone say I just assume a woman is short? Well, first of all, what's the average height of a woman? So let's with orange blood, like what's the average height of a woman? The average height of a woman is not 6 foot. So most women are shorter. And the thing is that you got to understand. Most people say when they meet me, their biggest surprise is I'm much taller than they expected me to be. Most people think I'm actually short. They're surprised when they see me. I'm like 6'2". So that's probably the most thing I get the most. But
when they see us on here, there's no size.
Yeah. So everyone thinks they're like, you're tall. They're like, oh, you're taller than I thought. I'm like, yeah. But anyway, that happens.
If you guys want to throw us a super chat, feel free. We've obviously started talking about Arch. It's going to be a huge focus throughout the week. This week, the Wednesday, the Thursday, and the Friday injury reports are going to be massive. Also, names that didn't even get brought up on Monday because of, I think, just the weird confusion of the Art stuff. Michael Taft there's no question about Michael Taft. There was no question about Cole Hudson. So those are two names I'm looking for, guys, this week. Obviously, Taft being in on defense would affect this game. The other one I keep thinking of, though, with Cole Hudson, for those that haven't done it yet, go up to the top left, click on the QR code, join orangebloods.com today for all the great content, including Alex's Deep Dig article. The offensive Deep Dig has some good news in it this past week from the offensive line. So here's the question. If Cole Hudson's ready to go, based on what Connor Robertson just did, do you put Cole Hudson at left guard and get Stroh out of there and back to a backup role? And is that the best offensive line combo maybe that this team could produce?
Sark said they've thought about it, right? Someone asked him a couple weeks ago, and he was just very bluntly said, "Yeah, we've thought about it." I don't know.
Hudson's played plenty of guard, right?
He has, yeah. Started there as a true freshman. Yeah.
Yeah. Anwar, in terms of the second part of that game, I'm not even say second part, in terms of when they really got the rhythm going and made the comeback on Saturday, they did that where Campbell had come back in. I think Stroh ended up switching over to left guard. They went Stroh over Brooks, I think, for that part of the game. I mean, you watched it play out live. Do you have a sense for kind of where that was? Seemed like Robertson did a pretty good job at center. Like, did they find maybe a better O-line combo, you think, Saturday night?
What did Sark say? He just went with the who he thought was hot at the time. And at that time, there was an injury that happened, and then it just went with, who thought was the hot hand. And so, look, if he's got the hot hand, yes. I mean, but I would say this. I'm not opposed to just mixing and matching the best way you can until whatever it is, if it's styles make fights, then whatever style needs to be made is what needs to be go with. But I would say definitely with Hudson, with the Vanderbilt defense, and then you got to be able to max protect. So I'm down with it if he's the hot hand. But if he goes in and there's a struggle bus there, yeah, you just got to keep moving guys around until you find someone who can do it.
Yeah, and you obviously to me, you gotta hope everybody else stays healthy. You stay with Robertson at center, unless I guess if Cole Hudson is completely ready to go and you feel like he's your center, that's one thing. But maybe it just goes back to that position we've been talking about all season long, left guard. It's just who do you feel the best about at left guard? But if I'm reading the deep dig grades correctly from Alex, the best grade came from Robertson. And I don't know
the entire offensive line last year.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to even read that. Wow. Okay.
The best grade. He got it up into the 80.06, which he considers a B+, better than any other offensive lineman. So again, check out the deep dig. Offense came out first this week. I think that's how Alex is going to do it moving forward. But I think that there could be some good news there. But now the question becomes, with that, if that's real, if that's there, what do you do with Cole Hudson if he's ready to go? So injury report this week. My goodness. If you
Almar, did you see Hudson at the game Saturday? I know it was the game 2 weeks ago, the Kentucky game. He was out there like on crutch. He didn't look like he was anywhere close to returning when I saw him.
I did not notice him on Saturday, dude. So no, I he wasn't on my radar. I didn't see him. And I was
if he's not playing, well, he went to the Kentucky game, right? So I was going to say, if they know he's not playing, would they even put him on the travel squad necessarily? But
I mean, the good part is they don't have to worry about that this week, right? But he definitely, the way it looked when he was on those crutches, that didn't look like a guy that was coming back before the bye week. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Well,
because that kind of crutches, the brace on, like usually that seems like when you see a guy like in a boot or something like that, Jason, that kind of gives you some hope that, okay, this guy might be back soon. But when you're using crutches, that's usually several weeks.
Yeah, that's kind of how I viewed it as well. Yep.
Anwar, you mentioned a couple of details about this 11 a.m. kick. It's really interesting points about a guy in concussion protocol and just the brightness of an 11 a.m. kick. Also, the time element is an interesting thing to bring up, that you don't have as much time as you would in an evening kick. Obviously, though, you kind of just alluded to the one great bit of good news. It is a home game. So you're not having to put you don't have to put Arch Manning on a plane. You don't have to, you got him in his bed, your doctors, your place, and you have the same thing with Taff and Hudson and anybody else. So we'll see if that turns into any kind of advantage for Texas in terms of, being finally.
It's good that his family, his family lives here in Austin. So he also does have family that is very active and can go ahead and be a part of the doctor's visits and say so and that. So they aren't parenting from afar, like they do live here.
And also, it is about every individual person. I get that. Everybody's situation is different. But boy, you talk about having family members that might be able to talk you through a concussion story or two. Archie Manning, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. I mean, just between those three guys, you're probably going to have enough stories of I've been through this, I've been through that. Maybe his dad too, right? Cooper could
His
probably.
dad, I mean, maybe not a concussion, but he sure had his career ended due to an injury. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty close to that situation as well.
Yeah, a lot of people to lean on to figure out what's going on there. If you guys want to throw in a super chat, we will certainly take that. Also, we continue to thank our great partners around here, including my folks over at Sinus and Snoring Specialists. We are almost done with October. Hard to believe. Flu season comes around, and now the weather's going to be turning colder. Make sure you're taking care of yourself when it comes to allergies, sinus stuff, sleeping. Are you sleeping well? Do you have the snoring issues? Do you have sleep apnea? If it's finally time to take care of it, if somebody else tried to take care of it and you just weren't satisfied, this is the place. Sinus and Snoring Specialists. More surgical and non-surgical options than any other place has. They've added another doctor this year, as I've told you, so there's more appointment times. Morning better for you? They've got that. Afternoon appointments better? They've got that for you. And they will get rid of your problems, and they will make sure they put together a plan that's specific to you. Call them at 601-0303 or securely text them on that number, or go to sinussnoringent.com and start checking out what they can do for you. There's some cool videos there to give you a little more info to kind of get you thinking about it. They are the best in ear, nose, and throat. Feel clear, rested, and healthy with Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Be sure you tell them that you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live. Getting ready for Texas and Vanderbilt, and of course, the Arch Manning story, the biggest story of the week. But we just talked a little O-line as well. Maybe some good news coming out of that situation. But guys, it's all about obviously the quarterbacks this week. It's about, is Arch able to go? So we're watching those injury reports, 7:00 Central Time, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night. And then there's one 90 minutes before kick, in case you didn't know that one. So what's that, 9:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
Is the last injury report. It's just crazy. For both of you, how much would Caldwell being the quarterback change your pick in this game? Jason, let me start with you. If once you know 18's the quarterback, let's say it gets there, how much does that swing, your thoughts on the game?
That's really an impossible question to answer because, like Almar said, it's such a small sample size. Like, we don't know. He may go out there and look like Peyton Manning, right? Or he may go out there and look like chopped liver, if in a full sample size. But, dude, I've been kind of on the Vanderbilt bandwagon all year. Chad, you and I think together almost. Yeah. And we've taken a lot of crap from, I know I have, from people on Orange Bloods for my rankings every week for having Vanderbilt ranked higher than Texas. I still have Vanderbilt ranked higher than Texas with or without Arch Manning. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And I know Texas is favored. I don't quite understand that. I'll probably wind up picking Vanderbilt in this game, regardless of the quarterback. As to how much more strongly do I feel about picking Vandy over Texas, if it's Arch versus Caldwell, I don't know. It doesn't really move the needle for me a whole lot, just because I don't know what the hell to expect from Matthew Caldwell. The only thing I do that I think Vanderbilt's a better football team from top to bottom. So I'll probably wind up picking Vanderbilt, unless I get into my breakdowns and my matchups and I see something that sometimes changes my opinion. But just based on what I've seen over the course of this football season, I'd probably lean Vanderbilt regardless of the quarterback.
Anwar, where are you on this game right now?
Yeah, I think I would have gone Vandy even with Arch being healthy. So, I think Clark Lee is a better coach than these two boneheaded coaches that they've gone against. I mean, I think Clark Lee might watch enough film to know on 4th and short you don't run it up the middle against this Texas defense. But these other boneheaded guys with Kentucky or Mississippi State, and just idiotic play calling, like, you really run into the strength of this team and you get nothing, and you see it happen week after week. So I don't think Clark Lee's as dumb as Levy is or Stoops. And I think that they do have a quarterback that, I don't think he's going to go crazy, but they do have a quarterback that's competent as well. And, Sark talked about it, but, the one thing Vandy does do is they do limit your possessions. They do limit your opportunities. They know how to milk the clock as well. I don't think Clark Lee will be dumb to punt the ball to Ryan Niblett because all these other dumbass coaches. Like I just see dumb coach after dumb coach. I give Texas props. I give Texas props for taking advantage of the stupidity of some of these other coaches, but there's a reason why Jeff Levy is probably not going to survive over the next couple of years. There's a reason why Kentucky is going to have a new coaching change because some of these coaches are dumb. So I just think Matthew Colwell could inject some energy. He might inject some new things, but I probably would have gone with Vandy anyway. And now this might be a game though, like that Texas just rallies and has an out-of-body experience, and it may be like the Oklahoma game where they just kind of step up. And I'm hoping for that. For that. But from a prediction standpoint, I'm probably just going to go and lean Vanderbilt for all those reasons. I don't think Clark Lee's as dumb as all these other coaches are.
By the way, Anwar, to speak to your comments about coaching, I mean, everybody think about this. We'll put Stoops aside for a second, but here's what Jeff Levy pulled off. The last 249 coaches that were up 17 with 10 minutes to go figured it out in the Power Four. 249 games in a row. Somebody was up 17 with 10 minutes to go, and they won the game. Jeff Levy broke that string. I know Sark did too, but Jeff Levy was on the other side of that. That's a crazy stat that I don't know if I'm going to forget for a while.
That saying of, good teams always find a way to win. Well, bad teams always find a way to lose.
Yeah.
That's why Kentucky's a bad team. That's why Mississippi State's a bad team. Like, they just find ways to lose, and they just like, hey, this sounds good. We might go ahead and let's just go ahead and lose this one. And they did.
Yeah. And the other element of it, I think both you guys would agree. You watch enough football, you just watch a certain kind of football and you think, man, that's not going to work in certain other games. It's not going to work against better teams. And if the three of us are watching that game, let's go to as it's going to overtime. If both of you turn to me and say, all right, Texas will win the game. Let's say Texas wins this game. You're going to pick him to beat Vandy? At that moment, I would have said no. Before Arch gets hurt, I would have said no. And Jason said it perfectly simply. I just think they're a better team all around, all the ingredients. I think Vandy is going to be a little bit better. Like, I'm thinking it's not crazy, but I'm like at 20-17. I think it's a fight because of the Texas defense. I just think Vandy is going to make a couple more plays. They're a little more of a full team. Hope I'm wrong, but I'm kind of where you are, Anwar. Like my head and my heart are doing two different things. That's kind of what this job's all about sometimes.
Now the thing is, if Texas does win, it will be because this defense had a couple of turnovers, and they kind of how they were able to do a little bit against Mississippi State, like shorten the field kind of thing. If they score off a turnover. If they make the dumb mistake and they want to continue to punt to Ryan Niblett, all those things. If they that will be it. Like, if this defense, it's funny, Jason. It's like when Texas decides that they're just going to attack the quarterback. It's like they're unstoppable. And sometimes if they decide like, well, we're just going to rush forward, let's just see what happens. And then it's like, what the hell? I know you don't want to attack on every single play, but literally if you just say, I won't put Colin Simmons on one side and Ethan on one side, or have Lance Jackson come in and just have him rush, like, that's when they're effective. It's when they're not effective is when they decided just to lay back and see let other teams do stuff. If they just decide to pin their ears back, I mean, you can't do anything against this defense.
But Pavia can also burn you, we all know, with his legs. If you come after him and if you don't get there, he can take off running and move the chains. One thing I thought about, and I don't think I've heard it discussed anywhere, I think it was in the preseason, I'm almost positive, Sark was asked about Pavia getting another year. Mm-hmm. And Sark was like, I hate it. I think it's baloney, it's BS, JUCO, blah, 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 blah. Pavia's probably got that quote in his locker room this week. Like, he's going to come into this game with a little chip on his shoulder. I'm sure he would love nothing more than to take Texas down in Austin anyways. But then I don't have the quote in front of me, but I remember he was asked about Pavia getting that year, and Sark was like, "That's bullshit." Well, Pavia, and now Pavia's, isn't he trying to get another year?
No, he denied that. He said he's not doing that.
I know he was kicking the tires on it or something, but yeah, he's probably going to come in and with a little bit of it. He has a chip on his shoulder, anyways. I think that guy.
But when did the Pavia Johnny Manziel thing become a thing? Like, when did they become like BFFs? Like, is that just?
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, no, that they're boys. Like, Johnny goes to the games and everything.
I don't know exactly when they became friends. I know that Pavia wears number 2 because of Johnny. He was a Manziel guy. I don't know when they first connected. I do know that Johnny was on the sideline for the Alabama game in a Pavia jersey. Like, that's when this year's version of it happened, but I'm not sure exactly when they first became friends. But he's a big Manziel fan, and I think that's why he wears number 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, they are like boys. Now, Jason, if you look up stuff, you'll see they, like you said, he goes to the games, like they talk to each other. Like, it is. He also scored. Was it the last game? And he did the money side.
Yeah, I did see that.
And that was in tribute for Johnny. So like. It's almost like he's modeling himself after Manziel at this
Boy,
point.
what a smart way. What a better guy to model yourself.
and here was the other weird thing about that night. The day, I guess it was a day game. I can't remember. But when Vandy played Bama, A&M had a home game, and Manziel was with Pavia.
Yeah.
So there were some people kind of asking that question. Not that Johnny works for A&M, but it was like, well, and I think that was the night game, the blackout game against Mississippi State. And I thought, well, if there ever was a game fit for Johnny Manziel, that was it. Black jerseys, night game. But no, he was hanging with Pavia.
That's a dude. And the thing it's so Johnny to be like, yeah, man, I'm gonna do my own thing and come and hang over here. So now you see like. I don't know if you saw it, Jason. Like, it was after the game. Like, that Pavia's got all this jewelry around his neck now. Like, he's got diamonds, everything. Like, he's like really embraced this like alter ego of like Manziel. Like, he literally is. It literally is his model right now.
And I think he was trying to channel that particular day of getting the win in Tuscaloosa like Manziel did. I think that was the connection that both of them were trying to make and bring that magic or whatever. Now, to that game, guys, somebody was bringing up sloppiness in the chat. Pavia did get sloppy that day. Early fumble really cost him. A late interception cost him. Vanderbilt has some good numbers, but they're 120th in turnovers. 120th in penalty yards, my bad. 120th in penalty yards, and they have been sloppy with some turnovers in key spots. So Pavia has,
that's surprising with penalty yards. They're such a older, experienced team. I think we all think they're well coached.
When I saw Texas at 129, I thought, okay, we've seen some of that sloppiness this year. Right. But 120 for Vandy. So watching the penalties in this game will be interesting. But every once in a while, guys, Pavia will channel, it's a little mean to say his inner Mateer, but it's one of those throws every once in a while where you're like, yo, Diego, you can't throw that ball. Why'd you let that go? The one against Bama is horrible. That late interception. So Texas defense, to Anwar's point, attack him judiciously, be careful because he can't hurt you with his feet, but go get him, bother him, and maybe you can get some turnovers. Thanks to you, those of you who jumped in the Specs chat. Let's hear from Specs. We got Halloween coming up very quickly. Everybody be careful out there.
When the savings are this good, the whole world takes notice.
Go. And remember, kids, if you go as Brian Kelly for Halloween, use a different accent at every door. Or all the way through the neighborhood. That's how you do that.
By the way, one year, I think my house was great. I went to Specs and I got shots and I handed it out to the adults of trick-or-treaters. I had no shortage of adults who, by the time it circulated, they're like, go over there. And I'm like, here you go. And I started on trying to do shots with people, And like I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna die if I do every trick or treater. So like I had to back off with that.
So wait, are you literally like pouring the shot and handing it, or did you have them covered up, or what?
No, I had the bottle and I had plastic shot glasses. And so I just basically was like, I would pour it. It was like I had tequila and Fireball, and I would just pour it for whatever they wanted. And I'm like, here we go. Parents loved it. I like you dragging these kids all around. I know you need one, and I had very few no's that night.
There's a guy in our neighborhood who owns a liquor distillery. He makes all of it: vodka, gin, bourbon, and I always seem to find my way to his house on Halloween night onwards.
Oh yeah.
That's a good idea. Find out which parents are serving on Halloween. That's a good idea. Here's a super chat from our guy, Jay. What's up, Jay? $5. Just curious, Anwar and Jason, pretend Sark left for the NFL. Who of the available coaches would you all take and think it would be an upgrade from Sark?
So available coaches. You're talking about coaches who have been fired?
Oof.
I guess, right?
Maybe that's what he means by available.
None of them, I don't think, right? Not James Franklin, certainly not LSU, not the homeboy from LSU.
Lane's not the right fit, not at Texas.
Who?
Lane Kiffin. If Lane,
he's not like Lane Kiffin, but he's not available.
Right, not available. You're right. Yeah.
Gundy. Hey, Anwar and I have both been Gundy fans through the years, but he's kind of lost some of his shine, right? So,
yeah.
What about guys? What about this John Gruden story that won't go away? You want John Gruden?
No.
Okay. No. I mean, I want to see him coaching. John Gruden would be great if USF they lost their coach to a program, and that would be, I think that would be perfect for him, just to be down there in Tampa. But outside of that, no. Not what's available. There's nothing that I like that's available.
Yeah, I keep wondering if Arkansas can make the kind of hire that'll get somebody to notice. And Gruden's one of those guys. I wonder if they could make the argument and make the money work to where, because there was discussion about him going to Tennessee and whatever.
Too bad.
That would be a little bit of they need a spark hire to me. They need kind of a type of hire. And Gruden would at least be that.
Yeah, but the thing is, the problem is that, this era of NIL, I mean, if you don't have the money to spend, like it's still kind of hard to win. So
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's a good question, but I don't think there's anybody available.
Oh, Jay clarified. He said,
Here it is.
Yeah.
When I say available, I technically meant coaching now, but that was my fault. Okay, Jay, that's a different discussion. Coaching now is a different talk. That's where I would ask y'all what about Lane Kiffin? Because he's going to be a hot name.
First and foremost, if he left, my first call is to Miss Terry, and I'm like, hey, do you guys?
I don't think so.
I would. I'm asking Jason.
Make him say no. Make him say no.
I don't think
he's not my first call, man. The game's changed.
Nick Saban would be your first call?
No, I think NIL changed the game. He couldn't cheat his way to having better rosters than everybody else. That's why he got out.
He wouldn't have to. He wouldn't have to worry about that at Texas. He would have all the resources available.
Yeah, now you say that. I mean, Ohio State, Oregon, other schools have NIL deep pockets. A&M. Hey, what about the coach at Indiana? I mean, honestly, Lane Kiffin would probably be my first call.
Lane Kiffin
Lane Kiffin over Nick Saban. Are you serious right now?
How old is Nick Saban right now?
I don't give a damn. Can he coach? He's only been gone for like a year. I mean, it's not like he's not like
he's 73 years old, man. What are you going to get him for 3 years?
73. Yeah. Could be three interesting years.
3 years at Texas with these resources. You don't think he can win a natty?
He couldn't do it at Alabama once NIL and all that.
I'm talking about with Texas resources.
Well, Alabama's got resources out the wazoo. Dude.
Okay, but come on now.
I am a firm believer Saban walked away from the game because the playing field had leveled.
Yes.
So he didn't have – listen, Saban's
of course, that part's true, but the playing field is different if you're here. as opposed to the state of Texas is producing millionaires every single year. They're producing
Do those
way more
millionaires giving you the program? Are those
millionaires ain't like the state of Alabama and the millionaires that are being produced there. I'm just saying I would call and ask.
I don't think the difference is Alabama's people may not have as much money as Texas, but they're more willing to give what they have than I think some of Texas. Alabama's not hurting for NIL money.
Now that'd be a conversation. I'd love to hear Nick Saban and Steve Sarkisian talk about that. Sit both of those guys down, let them have their favorite drink and say, fellas, what Jason just said. Talk about NIL. I
want to be in that conversation too then, Chad. Nick Saban, Steve Sarkisian, Jason Sukamel. Boom.
Those, yes. I would love to listen to the three of you talk about that. That would be awesome. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch these jobs, the ones that need filling right now. Just but don't leave the SEC. LSU,
hey, what about the Vandy coach?
LSU and Florida and Arkansas all need a coach. Jason, I'm glad you brought him up because I keep wondering, can Ole Miss keep Lane and can Vanderbilt keep Clark Lee? Mm-hmm. Those are the first two names that pop in my head when I think of this coaching carousel that's about to happen.
I mean, the hard part is I feel like there's way too many open jobs, and I just don't know if there's that many quality coaches to fill those jobs. Like that's the hard part is there's a lot of openings. But how many of these people are, as we're talking about it, we're trying to figure out who's saying that. Well, like Lane Kiffin, with that win that he had, he got basically like an automatic renewal for another year on his contract, right? So, Lane, Sexton guy, they're just going to finesse it to get more money when it's all said and done. Like they're just going to use everyone as a negotiation to get some more money. But you start thinking about all these openings, like I don't think there's just enough great coaches to pop in at these openings. Like I think there's just going to be a lot of retreads and a lot of people fishing, but I'm not quite sure how many you can say. And then how many are really great? Like is Arkansas a great opportunity for somebody, or is it just like, is it an open job? Right? Is it? And that's the thing. Like some of these times you get these coaches who have to take it because it's a head coaching job. You can't say no. That the odds of them winning are going to be, pretty slim. Even when you get rid of Levy, like who the hell is going to win at Mississippi State?
No, it's going to be tough. It's a great point. Let's see, who is that? Jay, I see your super chat. We will.
By the way, can I just say this? The job that I think is the ideal job. Now, Jason, you and I are talking about NIL. I think Florida is one of the best openings because if you can tap into the state of Florida recruiting, and Florida boosters have a lot of money. That to me, if you get that going, like that out of all, Penn State's good too, right? But Florida, I think that's the prime job for me.
Anwar, if they both called, would you tell Lane Kiffin to go to Florida before LSU and not LSU?
Yeah. It seems like a more natural fit at Florida, right? LSU just doesn't fit Lane Kiffin.
I don't know. Right? The attitude part fits to me. Like Lane not caring what anybody thinks and the snarkiness and the social media stuff, that feels like LSU to me. Because
Steve Spurrier was Florida, and that is everything that you embodied. Everything you just said
good point.
Is the reason why that Steve Spurrier has a statue out in front, right? So honestly, he would be a Spurrier disciple of snarkiness and attitude, and Steve Spurrier is still throwing off one-liners at people down there every week. That's why I think you'd be great at Florida.
Interesting point. Yeah, those two would be. The fact that those two jobs are open is pretty wild.
Here's the thing: LSU. I mean, they've got to pay out for a while on that one, so. I don't know how much money is left at that moment for everything else.
Yeah, it's a good point. All right, I'm going to read this one and try not to laugh. Jay, for $2, what about Franklin upgrade from Sark?
I still think Franklin's a good coach. I know this year has sucked, but no, he's not an upgrade from Sark. I don't think so.
I don't buy that for a second, Jay. Not for 1 second. Anwar?
No. And the thing is, I mean, I would argue that that conference that Franklin was in is a little bit easier than the SEC, and he struggled over there. So no, Sark's doing Sark. At least at the end of the day, Sark by this year might not be the greatest. I can almost excuse him like, well, it is the SEC. The Big Ten, you got like a couple of good schools, and then after that, like it's just a big bag of question marks at that moment.
Yeah. All right. Before we get out of here, one more of our great partners to thank, and it is Hayes City Store. Let's talk drinking and Hayes City Store. If you are like Anwar and me and many others, and you're thinking about an old fashioned, there's their whiskey old fashioned. By the way, my buddy's Bloody Mary is off in the background. Everybody look at that Bloody Mary. Does that look like it might be a strong drink? Yeah, you darn right it is. FM 150 out there in Driftwood. Also, how about a frozen margarita flight? Yeah, they'll do that for you. Also, a little word to the wise. When Hayes City Store whips up some sort of dark liquor in like a frozen drink or a blended drink, try it. That Kentucky frozen coffee, holy moly. The Jack Frost, one of my wife's absolute favorites. You will love it all out at Hayes City Store. Go see them in Driftwood. Tell Travis and Tamara and the crew that we said, hey, tell them you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live. Very, very tasty over at Hayes City Store. All right. Before we get out of here, just a quick update that I read today as we're talking about coaching searches and all that. The old 30-day window when a coach changes has been altered, and I didn't realize the detail until today, but it's kind of an interesting alteration that they've made. So here's how it works. 5 days after you name the new coach, a 15-day window goes into effect. So if you're thinking about LSU, and I've been sitting here thinking, wait, why aren't I hearing stories about Penn State, LSU, Florida players that are out there? It's because they can't be out there.
Yeah, they transfer mid-season anyways. I mean,
that's true, but you could let your intention be known and maybe have some conversations start, but they're trying to protect both sides by doing it this way. So let the team find their guy, let them introduce him in a press conference, and then he gets 5 days to talk to the guys in his building, to have team meetings and discuss things, and then a 15-day window will open for those.
Wait, a 15-day window? You talk about transfer portal windows, what you're saying?
Correct. So the old way of a 30-day window opens when my coach gets fired, that's gone. Now it's a 15-day window, 5 days after they hire the new coach. So what
are you saying? Are you saying the portal opens up 5 days after? So you're saying there's no activity for 5 days, and then after that, then people can transfer?
Yeah, that's the way I'm reading this is what, in addition to that window, this is the part I missed. I focused on the thing in January when we got the new window that's 15 days in January. But this part of it, I guess I had not read that they also tweaked the way it works for a coaching change. So it's just something we're all going to have to keep an eye on. And now
I don't go down this rabbit hole too much. I know we got to wrap it up. But to me, that's just dumb. Like, just enter the transfer portal in January. You still have time to get to your new school before the spring semester starts. Why do you have to enter it? If the coach is hired in December, okay, great, I'm going to enter in December. No, just enter in January.
I guess it all depends, because it depends on, I guess, how you could use that window, or just maybe if the team takes too long to find the guy,
you can still enter in January.
They want to protect the players, but what if the team was weird and they hired their guy, January 28th?
Well, you get the hell out of there. That's their fault for dragging their feet so long and hiring a coach.
Right. Yeah. Right. Anyway, so just a weird little detail I saw today to throw out to the folks. All right. Anwar, Jason, anything else modcast wise we need to hit before we get out of here?
Nope. My stomach is needing some lunch. So I'm good.
Let's do it.
That is honesty right there. First and foremost, the two.
I haven't eaten since last night. It's been a long 24 hours. Yeah.
Each of you just went through a crazy travel weekend, one for business and one for pleasure, but I appreciate both of you making time for the modcast today. I know the people will echo that. So thank you guys for doing it. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, and getting your notifications. We'll be back next Tuesday at